Time for the main event. We got Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Ciyrl Gane in a pivotal heavyweight clash. We've been getting a lot of big heavyweight fights over the last couple weeks. Alistair Overeem versus Alexander Volkov, and then obviously most recently Curtis Blades against Derek Lewis. And now this is another one where we have a young up-and-comer in Ciyrl Gane who, 30 years old, but in the heavyweight division, that's a young, spry 20-year-old, making, his first debut in the the main event slot. And this is a great matchup for him against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. So as of this recording, which is a full week before the fight is actually happening, it's minus 270 for Ghana and plus 230 for Rozenstruik. Let's start off on the Rozenstruik side of things, who's coming off a victory over Junior Dos Santos. Both of them are actually coming off of victories over Dos Santos, but I gotta say that the Rozenstruik one was a little less impressive. It was impressive, don't get me wrong. Obviously, he knocked him out, gets the victory, but I feel like Ghana did a little bit better in terms of winning the entirety of that fight compared to Rozenstruik, who, if you look at the judges' scorecards, the two of the three judges gave him the first round, one judge out of the three gave him round one, and the other two gave it to Junior Dos Santos, who seemed to be the more active fighter, which is weird because when you look at the statistics, you got Rozenstruik up there with more significant strikes than him in that round. So kind of weird. Maybe a little bit of miscalculation, but it looked like that Junior Dos Santos was a little bit more active in that. Also, he was the one kind of pushing the pace. He was the one kind of, landing the big leg kicks. And that's why I think the two judges actually scored that round for JDS. But what do scorecards really matter if the guy can put your lights on? And that's exactly what Rozenstruik does. Even in his fight against Alistair Overeem, you know what I mean? That was a fight he was probably going on to lose, and ends up winning that fight with a couple seconds left to go on the clock. So he does have fight-ending power, and that's kind of what he lives and dies on at this point in time. In his last 5 fights, he's 4-1, knocked all of those 4 opponents out, and obviously got knocked out himself when he fought Francis Ngannou in the UFC's return after the whole COVID era. Probably one of the more eerie scenes that we've ever seen in the UFC. Not to mention it being like one of the first events outside of that UFC Brasilia event, but there was UFC 249, I believe it was, where we had no crowd. First fight at the Apex, first pay-per-view at the Apex, and you get these two massive monsters, probably the two hardest hitters in the division, going up against each other, and all you see is Francis Ngannou just bull rush the guy, lands his hammer fists, and just absolutely does Jairzinho Rozenstruik. You can hear the thuds, you can hear everything, and even when Rozenstruik hits the ground and hits the back of the cage, you just hear a silence, and it just felt like everybody there just witnessed a murder. It's just absolutely insane. Like, you got to start calling Frankie and Francis Ngannou Frankie Murders, because the guy just goes out there and just puts people's lights out, and that's what Jairzinho Rozenstruik can do as well too, right? The guy has a lot of power in his hands. The combination that he caught Dos Santos with was nasty. He didn't put his lights clean out, but he definitely made his eyes roll back and dropped him, and then followed up with a bunch of strikes. So good on him for doing that, but the approach that he took in that fight leads me to believe that Ciyrl Gane should be able to go out there and do, a lot better. And this is stylistically a great matchup for Ciyrl Gane. So let's talk about him. He's only had 4 fights in the UFC, finished 3 of them. The only one to come via decision was against Tanner Boser, who's a very tough out. And he pretty much went out there and Tanner Boser. You know what I mean? He goes out there and outpoints him and wins the way that Tanner Boser normally wins his fights. So it's great to see Ciyrl Gane pretty much go that route. We've seen him pull off a couple of submissions. Obviously, the knockout of Junior Dos Santos last time around as well. But the one question mark that I've had about him is how he does off of his back. How he does when somebody actually tries to take him down and is successful with it and is actually a good wrestler themselves. I mean, there was somebody that was going to fight on Fight Island named Antti Delia, I believe his name was, PFL heavyweight. And then a couple of days before the fight, PFL was just like, nope, you're still under contract with us. You're not fighting for this on this card. And we're getting like plus 550 on that guy. And I sprinkled a little bit on that for sure. It's definitely worth a little bit of a shot, considering that we've never really seen Ghana off of his back. He's only 7-0. His first fight for TKO, which was his first professional fight, was for a title. So they knew this guy had a huge amount of potential. But again, the only thing we haven't seen him really challenged on is that grappling realm. So if he ever gets matched up with Curtis Blades, I'd be very interested to see how that type of matchup would go. Luckily for him, Jairzinho Rozenstruik is a striker. He goes forward and he throws his bombs, but he seems a little bit too patient at times, which is why I think he really let that first round against Jordan Dos Santos go, and luckily for him, he was able to put him out in that second round, so he didn't have to worry about the scorecards. Whereas Ciyrl Gane, when he fought Jordan Dos Santos, great movement, great kicks, southpaw stance, ripping the kicks to the body, ripping the kicks to the leg, staying active enough. His cardio seemed to check out for as long as that fight was going on, bouncing on the tip of his toes, moving in and out very well. So I think he'll do a really good job in terms of staying away from the big strikes of Rozenstruik, and it really diminishes the amount of chances that Rozenstruik has to win this fight. Now, on paper, you could probably say that Jairzinho has a little bit of an advantage when it comes to the credentials in striking. But when you see it play out in the MMA realm and you see the guy who's more active and can, change it up even more, you got to go with Gane. I wouldn't even be surprised if you see Gane go out there and put on his wrestling shoes, take this fight to the ground, and pull off a submission of his own. Now, I know that Jairzinho is not Rafael Pessoa or Dontel Mays, but you still got to believe that he's going to have the grappling advantage here, and not to mention the submission advantage too. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him go out there and take down Rozenstruik as well. Now, if this fight was a 3-round fight like it was originally scheduled to be, because this fight card was scheduled to have Yuri Prochazka and Dominic Reyes headline the card, unfortunately that fight falls through. Now we get these guys stepping in on 5 rounds. But if it was a 3-rounder, I'd probably hit that Ciryl Gane via decision prop, as I think that would have been a solid spot. But this going 5 rounds, I could see Ciryl Gane probably wanting to diminish the amount of chances and the percentage that Jairzinho has in terms of winning this fight. And that could be the takedown. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him go out there, again, take him down, do some good damage from him top, whether it's ground and pound or looking for a submission of his own. But man, the guy is strong. He's powerful. He's big, athletic. The guy seems to have it all for a guy that could be potential future champion. Again, the only thing we haven't really seen is how he deals with the guy that's going to be able to take him down. Will he be able to get right back up to his feet? Will that suck out his cardio? Again, luckily for him, he doesn't have to worry about that here with Rozenstruik, who doesn't really go for takedowns. Mainly a striker, mainly looking to take your head off. And given the type of movement, and I got to say, I'll come out on a limb here and say I think that Gane has probably the best movement in the heavyweight division, given how big he is, right? The guy just moves so fluidly and smoothly, and is able to get out of the way of big shots. He ate some big shots from Junior Dos Santos as well, too. I'm not sure if he has the knockout power of Rozenstruik at this point in his career, but it's a good sign that he was able to eat those shots and keep chugging forward. So I like Gane. I don't mind the minus 270. More than likely a parlay piece as well too, but I think he wins this fight at least 75 to 80% of the time, given that Rozenstruik's path to victory is very minimal here, which is just seeking that knockout. He's not going to outpoint Gane here. He's not going to outgrapple him, so he's going to have to go out there and try to knock this guy's head off, and I don't think he's going to be successful in doing so. So I like Ciryl Gane here. I'm going to say either... I'd be surprised if this actually goes 5 rounds, to be honest. I think we'll see Ciryl actually grapple a little bit more here. I think we'll see him take him down. I think we'll see him, lay some ground and pound and maybe even pull off a submission here. So I'm interested to see what the props are too, because the props aren't fully out yet. Again, I'm recording this on the Saturday before the fight. Let's see if they did release anything yet. No props or anything yet on this fight. I'll go with TKO round 3 or round 4 via ground and pound, but if the submission prop is looking nice, I might have to take a little bit of a sprinkle on that as well too. But I'll go with Ciryl Gane probably by round 3 or round 4 TKO.